Economy, and today inshallah we will talk about chapter 5 in the engineering economy class, the present worth analysis.
وعليكم السلام.
We have covered in the previous chapters the foundation of engineering economy and the time value of money and how we can change the money over the time in terms of the value, considering that the interest rate that appeared over the years, and considering also the formulation that we have learned from converting a present value to future, or future to present, or annual to present, or present to annual, or future to annual, or annual to future. So today, inshallah, we will continue and we will see how that it will be applied in real life projects. And inshallah, before the exam one, I will post on YouTube a tutorial in Arabic for solving problems, especially in chapter 2, for those students who still didn't get the idea of converting the value of the present to annual or annual to present. Inshallah, I will post a video on the YouTube for just solving problems, and that maybe inshallah helps to improve your learning and also improve your practicing the solving the problems before the exam. Today inshallah, the chapter 5, the present worth analysis. The name of the chapter tells you that what we are going to deal with in this course or this chapter is we are going to deal with the present worth only. So all the values that you will see it appear in the cash flow or you see it in the problems that need to be converted to present worth, and then we do the analysis based on the present worth. We used to convert to annual or to future or to present from any different time value. And today, inshallah, we'll learn that how we, after we convert it to present, how we do analyze that value. That's why chapter 2, it was very important to see how is the conversion. Because today we're not going to demonstrate how the conversion is done because it's already explained in chapter 2. But we will see after we convert to present, how we deal with the value and how we analyze that information. In real life projects, usually you deal with one of those three types of projects, which is the mutually exclusive alternatives or independent projects, or you do nothing for that project. And what does that mean? Imagine if you are in a company or even in a government sector and you have a budget for projects, regardless of that project, whether improvement or establishing a new factory or constructing a highway or name it, of any type of projects you have, and you have a budget. The company or the government sector, it may have only one choice to select one project for that year. For example, they have allocated 100,000 riyal or 1 million riyal, and that is dedicated only for one project. Only one project. So in that case, we call that decision or this type of project is mutually exclusive alternatives. That's mean all the alternatives I have, I will select only one. It is similar to your capstone project because you are going to have alternatives. Your design or your solution that you are going to propose in 491 or 492 doesn't mean it's the only exist design or doesn't the only exist solution for that problem. Usually there is other alternatives to solve that problem, and selecting one only, considering that type, is mutually exclusive. At the end, you have to go with one decision or one solution or one project. But it could be another scenario, where is a company have a different sectors or different projects and have the same budget, for example 1 million, but they are not dedicating that 1 million to only one project. They are dedicating to any number of projects can be done with this 1 million. So in this case, we call that independent project. In the second, independent project. And if you translate this word independent, معناها ايش؟ مستقلة. مستقل. Like you now, you are independent. يعني hopefully you are not depending on your teacher to teach you every single يعني information. You can read now and you can search online and you can practice by your own. So أنت independent now. You are not in high school or intermediate school where you need someone يعني to take you and handwriting with you the pencil and hold the pencil with you, okay? So now you are independent. I'm just giving it some examples, but to make things يعني clearer. But the independent project, that's mean they are not related to each other and the company can or afford to have them all be done at the same time, simultaneously. طيب, do nothing. You don't have budget. You don't have a solution for a problem, then you do nothing. So the three types of project based on the economical perspective, we have the first one, mutually exclusive. This is a definitely a question comes in all my يعني either exam one or the final. Mutually exclusive, it means that you have to pick one at the end. Independent project, you can select as many as possible, but they have to be feasible project, not project that end up with a loss to the company. And do nothing, that's mean you have nothing to consider for that. طيب, the cash flow. When we used to draw the cash flow, you remember the inflow and outflow. Now, يعني this is a refresh question. Inflow, does the arrow go to up or to down?
Up. Let's go up.
ممتاز. Up. That's mean in the inflow it is to up and in the outflow it is down. Here in this slide, revenue representing the inflow, which is up, and the cost representing the outflow, which is down. Okay? And now here is a question for opening your يعني thinking and critical thinking. I would like to see your critical thinking. What is the difference between revenue and profit? We hear those two terms a lot, and you can participate in mic if you want. What is the difference between revenue and profit? Anyone? Don't let it to the dictionary. I would like to hear from you. Okay, تفضل يا علي. It is okay.
Everyone is not independent, but cost it's independent.
No, I mean revenue and profit. معتز?
Yes, revenue means all the money that you've earned, let's say in a week or in a year. The profit is like the money that's like it's for you, you know, it's like you earn this money like in your pocket, not revenue.
Okay, close. So close. Muhammad also in the chat box also wrote similar. Nawaf Samari, تفضل.
revenue يكون المتوقع وممكن يكون هو الإيرادات وفي الصادرات، فالمتوقع اللي أنت تاخذه، والبروفيت الشيء اللي أنت تطلعه من المشروع.
Okay. مشعل؟
Preference it mean inflows, but cost it is mean outflows.
Okay, thank you, Mishal. But my question is, and also for Abdul Aziz Al Bouk, my question is for revenue and profit, not revenue and cost. We will come to the cost later, but here is a question. Profit, it was not mentioned, but I want to hear some of you as you were not close, Nawaf, not Muhammad, and also the other gentleman who was very close. I will explain now. Yes, Muhammad, you are so close. Okay, the revenue and profit. Now my explanation about revenue and profit, not revenue and cost. We will come to the cost. Revenue and profit. Revenue is what you make after you sell your service or you sell your product. This is a revenue. The profit is the net. At the end of the day or end of the month, when you do calculate your cost, for example, you have a restaurant. When you sell a meal, that meal sold, let's say 30 real by 30 real, okay? That 30 real is a revenue, but doesn't mean a profit. Maybe the electric bill you pay at the end of that day, if you calculate it, it is more than the 30 real. So you are making revenue, but you are not making profit at the end. Why? Because your cost in this case is greater than your revenue. So the revenue and cost, they have to be subtracted at the end to see whether the business is making a profit or making a loss. The cost, it can comes in a form of utility bills like electricity, water, labor, you are paying for your employee salaries, warranty, insurance, so on. Revenue is based on what you sell or what you provide of services or product, and what you get out of those, it is considered to be revenue. And the profit or loss, it is the subtraction between revenue and cost. If the revenue is greater than the cost, then you are making profit. If the revenue less than the cost, then you are making loss at the end of that project. Okay, clear? Inshallah. طيب. When we deal here with the product and service, we are all considering that, because in the economy you are not just dealing with products. Service also, it costs. When you pay your bill for Mobile or STC or Zain or those mobile or phone provider or internet providers, you are paying a service. You're not paying for a product, even though the package considered to be like megabyte for download, but yeah, this is not tangible. You see it as a service at the end. يعني it is already there in the space, and you don't touch it. يعني different than when you go and purchase a phone. That's a product. When you go and get a service from Kareem or any transportation application like Uber and so on, this is service. Also, that's considered to be. Okay, moving on, and why we are talking about this now, because from now on in the cash flow, any arrows goes to the up, we will deal or we will assign a positive value or positive sign to that value. Whenever we deal cost, which means arrow to down, we have to put a minus sign next to that arrow. So no more adding things without sign. We have to consider in this chapter and the coming chapters, we have to consider if the inflow, let's say 500 real, and the outflow is 300. So when you put the equation, you put the 500 with a plus and the 300 with a minus. Okay, we didn't used to do that in chapter 2 because we were not dealing with the revenue and cost. We were just dealing with the value of the money, whether it was a revenue or cost. It was regardless of that case. We wanted just to show you how to move the value of money over the time. طيب, here we will see examples inshallah, and many examples. The analysis of the alternatives. The main point here for me is I already explained that the cost and in minus and the revenue in plus, but for me the most important information is if a single project was evaluated here, which is number the third point from the top. For a single project, I don't know why is the PowerPoint showing this here, the purple evaluation. I think when you open the original file, it doesn't show that, but I think it's from the Blackboard. So for a single project, projects financially viable or applicable if PW means the present worth is greater than 0. Okay, that's mean if a single project, I have my capstone design or any project, at the end of that project, if the net greater than 0, that's mean it's a profitable project and I can go with it. If it is less than 0, this project making a loss. So no meaning to go with that project because you are going to lose your money. Okay? In the mutually exclusive, when you select only one project out of group of projects, you select the one has the largest present worth analysis, present worth value. For the independent project, select all with the present worth greater than 0. It is similar to the single project. We will show you an example. Imagine those project IDs A, B, C, and D in the example. Let me just finish this slide, Ya Saleh, and if you have questions, I will give you the time after this slide. Because after the example, we complete the idea. Project A, Project B, Project C, and Project D. And the question asks you, which project should be selected? In the part A, in the blue box, says using mutually exclusive, in B using independent. If we are using mutually exclusive, that means we are dealing with only one project, so we have to select one only out of those projects. So when you look to the present worth of each project, considering the revenue and the cost, at the end, project A, it is worth $30,000, and B, 12,500. C, it is minus 4,000. D, 2,000. So when we صوت يقطع. Okay, inshallah الحين كويس. If the other, okay. So if only one is facing voice issue, when you look to the recorded session, you will not face it because it was recorded correct, but maybe you had internet problem. But if everyone cannot hear me, then the issue may be in my side, okay, or in the Blackboard side. طيب. Now how we select this, how we select the project from among all these 4 alternatives using mutually exclusive. Mutually exclusive, I have to select one. So which one should I select? Definitely I'm not going to select C because it's a loss project. Okay, now for the project that making profit, A, B, and D. If I need to select one of them, imagine if I'm offering you a business project that generate 30,000 to you and another project generate 2,000. Which one you will select? You will select definitely the one has 30,000 because it has the largest present worth value. Someone has his mic off, so please can you, Abdulaziz, turn off your mic, please. Abdulaziz al-Zahim. Okay, and if we are using independent method, in the independent method, you don't have to select one, you can select all feasible projects. And what does it mean, all feasible project? All projects that make profit, that means are feasible. So what is the only project that is not making profit is project C. So we will eliminate C and we will include A, B, and D because those 3 projects who are making profit, okay? So this is the difference between mutually exclusive, when you have to select only one and you select the largest numerical value, And imagine if mutually exclusive was for those projects, and all those projects are in a minus value. So imagine if it was minus 30,000, minus 12,000, minus 4,000, and minus 2. Which project should we select?
A.
أحسنت يا عبد الله صالح أو whoever also. Yes, عمر, يزيد. Yes. عبد العزيز. عبد العزيز A? No, not A. Not A. If it was all in minus, we go with the largest numerical. What does it mean numerical? If all they are in minus, the largest numerical will be the minus 2,000, because minus 30,000 is a bigger loss compared to minus 2,000. So you select D, right? But in the independent project, in that case, none of those options will be applicable because none of them is feasible. Okay? طيب, now the question, Saleh, you still have your question?
لا شكرا خلاص.
طيب محمد, طيب تفضل.
Yep, doctor. If we have, doctor, I have a question. Yep. If I have 0 present words, I take it with independent select or what?
You go to the rule in the independent, select only the one with the greater than 0.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
Okay, another example here. We have 3 projects. Those are energy project. One using electrical power, other one using gas, and the last one using solar. Each project has his cost, its annual cost also, and we will explain those, and has the revenue or the outflow. It's not revenue, it's outflow. Let's break down those 3 values. What does it mean, the first cost? The first cost that you will pay it at the beginning of the project on year 0 when you start your project. The annual operating cost, that's mean consistent costs that need to be conducted every year for maintenance and operation. The salvage value, the salvage means in the closest يعني term in Arabic that we can use اللي هو تعرف في التشليح، يعني لما نقول لك سيارة رايحة تشليح أو خردة، يعني لا سمح الله you had an or يعني a car has been in a يعني extreme accident, and the cost of that repair of the car, it's almost expensive, and maybe sometimes it's impossible to repair it. Yes, we call it تالفة or خردة or يعني تشليح على قولهم يعني. So we call that a salvage value. Salvage value, that's mean a value you will get it if you are going to get rid of that item or that device or of that يعني asset. So this is the meaning of the salvage. We will hear salvage and you will see it a lot in this course, so it is important to understand the meaning of the salvage. Annual operating cost, the abbreviation of that is AOC. اختصار annual operating cost, you will see sometimes AOC. The first cost, sometimes we refer to that also the initial cost. First cost, initial cost, okay? They are meaning the same. This is the cost you start with, you pay it out year 0. And the interest was given for all these projects 10%. And the number of years, the number of years is 5 for all of these 3 projects. For the gas power project, which is A2, you have the same but different values. For the solar, you have the same but different values. Okay, how we use mutually exclusive method or application to solve this problem and select one. Now, the annual operating cost is something that you pay it annually. In the case of A1, you will pay the 900, and you see it's by minus, but in the exam you may not see the minus. You have to know that it's a cost and it has to be by minus. Okay, so the 900 placed every year from year 1 until year 5, and the first cost applied on the beginning of the project on year 0, and the salvage value applied at the end of the project at year 5 only. So they are in different time frames. And when we use the mutually exclusive as a part of the present worth analysis, as we said from the beginning, we have to convert everything to present, to T0, to time 0. Why? So we can handle them in the same time frame. If they are not in the same time frame, we are like adding kilogram with milligram and gram, right? We are not dealing with the same exact unit, but when we convert them all to T0 or time 0, then we can add them to calculate the total out of that project, which is whether a loss or a profit. Here is the explanation how we solve that problem. The cash flow for each project, for example, on the first of the on the top on the left, which is the A1, and then the second one on the right, which is A2, and the last one on the bottom is A3. So to convert the values to time 0, you will deal with each project independently and separately and find the present worth for that project. So we have the 2,500 first cost, and you see it outflow down, the arrow to down, without even mentioning the sign. You already now know it is going to be minus in the formulation. This is only demonstration of the cash flow. The annual, which is the 900, it's placed from year 1 until year 5, and the salvage placed at year 5 with the 200. If you are concerning about the table here in the top, the table is showing only the values previously mentioned in the example, just to break them down in a table format, but they are the same information, nothing else. Even for the cash flow, if it was not requested in the question to draw the cash flow, it is not mandatory, obligatory to do it, but I suggest to do the cash flow always in solving the problems. It will help you to visualize the problem and make it easier for you to solve it. For A2, as we did for A1, the 3,500 is the first cost, the annual is the 700, and the salvage is inflow 350. So let's do the formulation for the first one. What is the formulation if I want to convert all these values to present? We have learned that in chapter 2, so this is not new. The 2,500, how we convert it to present? Any ideas? أحسنت يا حازم. ممتاز. عفوا. It is already present. شكرا عبد الصمد علي. Yes, it is already placed on year 0, so it is already present. So no conversion needed. Now what about the 900? The 900 is an annual from 1 until year 5. If we want to convert it to present at year 0, what formulation do we need? You can type the formulation or you can say it on the mic. P given A, okay, this is not the complete formulation. Yes, we are going to use P given A, right, but P given A for 5 years, 10%, أحسنت, multiplied with what يا علي? With 900, excellent, أحسنت, أحسنت يا عبد الصمد, yes, now this is a complete formulation. Formulation of the 900 to convert it to present, you multiply the 900 with, open the bracket, P given A, not F given A, Abdul Samad. I assume this is a mistake. P given A for 5 years and 10% with minus, pay attention, with minus here as well as the 2500 minus, okay? Now for the 200, if we want to convert it to a present, what formulation we are going to use? P given A, no. P given F, yes. 10% 200. ممتاز يا علي. ممتاز. فيصل. مشعل. جميل. So the 200 multiplied with the bracket that contain P given F for 10% and the number of years is 5. So let's see and check our solutions. The 2500, no need for converting. The 900 multiplied with the P given A, 10% for 5 years, plus, pay attention to the signs, okay? If it is outflow, you have to put the sign minus. If it is inflow, you have to put it with a plus. When you calculate all that, now all of you know from chapter 1 how we convert that to a value from the table. You add them all together and you will get the result, which is minus 57 and 88. For the gas project, you apply the same and you will get minus 59. For the solar, you will get minus 61.27. Now, if we are using, as we said in the example, in the question says, we are using mutually exclusive. So the mutually exclusive in this case will go with the least, the largest numerical, which is the least minus value, since all of them are in a minus sign. So the largest numerical value considered to be project A, which is the electrical option. Okay? Clear? Before we move on, questions? Okay, good. You see, chapter 2 is very important. If you understood chapter 2, the remaining of this course, inshallah, most of it will be very easy. Chapter 6 is similar to that, chapter 7 also, and so on. Okay, now what about if those projects or those alternatives we had in this example, they are different in the number of years. They are different in number of years. So the solar was, let's say, 7, and the gas was 8, and the electric was 10. So what we do in this case? تفضل يا فيصل. Question 2. تفضل. فيصل باخش وين؟ I don't hear. Are you speaking or? Okay. Why did we take the first one? Because the first one is the largest numerical. So means that is if those are in a minus values, which one is the largest? Minus 57 or minus 59 or minus 61? All of them, they are in minus. So if they are all of them in minus, we select the largest. The largest means is the least minus. Okay. Fine. If we have different life or number of years, in this case we use two methods to solve the problem. Yani you select one of those methods, or I bring you in the question to select a certain method. The first method called LCM, and the second method called specified study period. The LCM stands for the least common multiple. Do you know the meaning of the least common multiple in the mathematics? In Arabic, it's fine. عامل مشترك أصغر. عامل مشترك أصغر is the least common. We call it المضاعف أو القاسم. المضاعف أو القاسم المشترك الأصغر. المضاعف or القاسم المشترك الأصغر. Both meaning the same. If we think about those two numbers, 4 and 6, what is the least common multiple? Is 12, because 12 is the least common between them, which in a meaning that you can divide the 12 by 6 or divide the 12 by 4, okay, to get an integer value. And this method called the LCM. The second method called study period. And in this method, we use a specified period. We will explain it later, but note this at the end. The LCM procedure is used unless otherwise specified. That means the default in the present worth analysis in the case of different life years, we use the LCM unless in the question says use study period, because it is more accurate. Yes, Abdul Samad. Yes, you have a question? No, you cannot do that. The question asking about considering that they are in the same years and then I subtract them. No, you cannot do this, because you will see how it will be a big difference in terms of the value. طيب. So continue. This is the example. An example shows you that two alternatives, the first one here in A, the second one in B. Again, we have the same elements: first cost, annual cost, the deposit return similar to the salvage, but here in a different name. Deposit return always placed at the end of the cash flow, and the lease term or the number of years, 6 for location or alternative A and 9 for alternative B. What is going to be the LCM for the 6 and 9. This is the first step you have to do, and then you start or continuing with the solution. And it is correct, yeah, it is 18, because 18 divided by 6 and divided by 9, and it is the least between them. Note that the interest rate used in this problem is 15 as it's given in the question. So after you find the LCM, you draw the cash flow as it shows here. The cash flow 15,000 in year 0, then the annual 3,500, which is this one, it is annual, and the salvage or the deposit return, which is the 1,000 on year 6. Voice, can you hear me? Or yes, okay, so great. طيب, now what you have to do is you need to divide the LCM for each number of year. Now the 18 divided by 6, how much is going to be? Is going to be 3. So you will have 3 cycle for alternative A. And when you divide it by 9 for alternative B, you will have 2 cycle. What do we mean by cycle? The cycle consider to be these values from 0 to 6, starting from the 15,000 until the 1,000. This is one cycle. So you will repeat this cycle 3 times in alternative A, and you will repeat it 2 times in alternative B, as you see here in this slide. In this slide, the first cash flow shows that the alternatives of the location A repeated 3 times. Why? Because we divide the LCM over the number of years for that alternative. And in this case, we had, when we divide 18 by 6, you will get 3. And that's mean you have to repeat those values 3 times. Note that there are values, it is tricky, means that you have to pay attention to them. The first cost, when it was applied on year 0, in the second cycle that start on year 6 until 12, it is placed on year 6, because now year 6 considered to be the beginning of the second cycle. Also for the salvage or the deposit return, as it was applied on the last year in the first cycle, you will count until the end of the second cycle and you place the salvage. And since we have a third cycle here, we are going to repeat the 15,000 as an initial cost, because this is the beginning of the third cycle. However, we don't put it on year 18 because there is no fourth cycle coming. So only the salvage will be, or the deposit return will be placed on year 18 at the end of the third cycle. Going on location B or alternative B is similar to A. When we had placed already all the values in the original cash flow, when we repeat them in the second time, we consider that the beginning of the second cycle is where is the first cycle end, which means that year 9 is where is it end in the first cycle and where it start in the second cycle. And this case, 18,000, the first cost applied as an initial cost, and the 2,000, which is the deposit return, applied on year 18 because it's the end of the second cycle. And here we don't apply the 18,000 again on year 18 because there is no third cycle. If there is a third cycle, then the 18,000 will be applied as it was in alternative A. Hope that it was clear. Okay, so now in the third step, now it is a present worth problem as we did it in the previous one. You are going to convert all these values to time 0. So what you do, start with the annual. The annual is the easiest one because as you see it is too many, you just convert them in one step. The 3,500 P given A for 18 years for alternative 1, because you are converting all these annual to number or T equals 0. So P given A multiplied with the 3,500, P given A. For interest rate 15, number of years is 18. And then you convert all these to times 0. The first 15,000, no need to convert it because it's already at times 0. However, the other 15,000 need to be converted because they are placed in year 6 and year 12 respectively. So year 6, to convert this 15,000, it is going to be 15,000 P given F for 15% for now year equals 6. And for this one is 15,000 P given F 15% for 12 years. This is all for the outflow, the minus values. Now what about the inflow here for the deposit return? It will be with a plus sign, 1,000 multiplied with the P given F 15% 6 years, and 1,000 P given F for 12 years and 15%. Now here is something you can do if you just pay attention when you do it and don't mess up your solution, okay? Now the 15,000 and the 1,000, they are placed on the same year. They are placed on the same time format. They are both in, let's say, just similar to both, they are in kilogram. Can't we subtract them? Yes, we can. We can use 14,000 instead of 15 outflow and 1,000 inflow. And in this case will be 14,000 outflow converted to time 0. As we can do it here also in year 12. We cannot do it here in year 18 because there is no initial cost or outflow individually on year 18. But pay attention so you don't mess up your solution. If because here the 14,000 would be also the minus sign, okay? Again, and also in alternative B, the 2,000 placed on year 9, whereas the 18,000 placed also on year 9. You can subtract them and you can have the 16,000 with a minus sign, P given F for 9 years for 15%. For here, again, we cannot do that because we don't have initial cost. So let's see the formulation for each alternative. The alternatives here, it was not considering the subtraction I mentioned, but you can do it. For example, the minus 15 here and the plus 1,000, you can subtract them and have minus 14 P given F for 15% and number of years 6. Or you can do it this way. This is the expanded way. It is correct. It is more secure, so you don't do mistakes in signs or subtractions, okay? After you add them all up, you will get the minus 45,000 for alternative A and minus 41,000 for alternative B. And in this case, we do select B because it is the largest present worth cost, or it is the largest or the most economical factor, alternative or project. Pay attention. Definitely there will be question about chapter 5 comparing alternatives in the exam. Usually in my exams, and pay attention to that, is not just solving and get me the number at the end and making the selection. There is always a question after the selection, says why you select this option, why you selected this alternative, why you selected this project. So always there will be 1 to 2 marks for why you selected, and you have to follow the same exact reason. Is the largest numerical value, or is the most economical alternative, or is the best economical alternative? you have to justify your number so I understand, or I know that you understand the topic. فهمت الطريقة. Someone asking, and it's a good question. عبد الإله الماجد is asking a question. I understand, or I understood the way or the technique, but I don't know why we are using this. Good question, Abdullah. I will answer that, but let me go to the previous question. Why it is minus 15? Okay, you are meaning here, Hazim. Hazim is asking question, why here is minus 15 and there is another minus 15? Okay, Hazim, the first minus 15 is for the initial cost placed on year 0. And for the second one, minus 15, it is for the initial cost placed on year 6, which is this one. That's one need to be converted, and this one don't need to, because it is already on year 0. And why you didn't ask about the third one? The third one is placed here. The third 15,000, which is by minus, also placed on year 12. Hopefully that answered the question. Now going back to Abdullah's question, why we are using this method even though it is clear to do it. Okay. Chapter 5 and 6, it is part of the feasibility studies course if you are IE. And by the way, feasibility study is coming in the next semester. So if you are planning, I'm not sure if you are in the exact level to take it, but is available in IE next semester as an elective course. Part of the feasibility study, you need to compare the projects or alternatives or businesses offers to invest on based on your current liquidity needed. إيش يعني current liquidity؟ اللي هي السيولة الحالية. The present worth analysis put all the values coming in the future to 0.0, to time 0. So I know on ahead of time how much that project needed from us to maintain their cost in the coming 10 years, or in the coming 8 years, or in the coming 6 years, and so on. Okay? When we do the LCM, this expanded form to justify the differences between the number of years when they are not equal. However, in the annual, in chapter 6, you don't need to do that in the case of non-equal number of years. But in the present, due to the formulation of the present, you need to justify the differences in number of years using the LCM or the study period. So going back to your question, Abdullah, why we are using the present to make the judgment is to evaluate those projects based on the current liquidity needed. السيولة الحالية اللي تحتاجها لاستثمار في أي مشروع. Both cost and revenue. Okay? And by the way, the revenue here is not يعني applicable, because definitely you are not going to invest in a project that end up with a loss of minus 45,000. But here he is not considering that there is other revenues can come. Revenue was not mentioned here, only the deposit return. Deposit return means that you are closing up this business and is going just to end up giving you only 1,000 riyal or $1,000. But the revenue considered to be the same, or assumed to be the same between alternatives, because both of them they are having the same type of selling. I'm not dealing with, remember this project that we have, it's a good question, and I would like to expand my answer so you know the applicability of these methods in real life. When you say the energy here, the energy or the power measured by what? By watt. The watt, you can sell it, let's say, by 50 riyal. So the revenue out of those alternatives will be the same. So it was not considered here in the study, it was considering only the cost and the operating cost, since the revenue is the same. But when you add the revenue to the net that we have calculated at the end, those minus signs value, they are going to be pluses, okay? But they are going to be with the exact a plus, because the revenue, it will be the same. Okay, يعني give me just a minute, عبد الصمد. Did I answer my question, يا عبد الله? Is it clear? It's a good question though. I mean, if you still have any concern about what we and why we are using, this is my care. I care about to understand how you do that in real life, not just to solve my exams. آخر سنة 15,000. طيب خلينا we go back. Now, عبد الصمد, you're talking about alternative A. In alternative A or B? يعني is it clear? Okay. If you okay, clear, good. Fine. Faisal, a question: P given F 15, number of year 6. For those who has 6, P given F 15 and number of year 6. Faisal asking why the number of years. Why there is an A, you mean? Okay, this is just to, I think it's a typo mistake, yani. Yeah, I believe it's a typing mistake. Thank you for the remark. Yes, but it doesn't mean anything here. You're concerned about the 6, okay. I think it's a typing mistake. Good observation. Thank you, Faisal. طيب, the present worth using the study period. The study period is easier than the LCM. However, read this note, the one in red. Don't expect the same result with the study period approach versus the LCM. The study period often defined by management when business goals are short term. So يعني حاجة for 3 years, 4 years, okay, you can do study period. And what is trying to say here is not really accurate compared to the LCM, okay? Also read this note. When the study period is specified, all cash flows after this time are ignored. Salvage value is estimated, or the market value, at the end of the study period. We will see in examples, it will explain things clearer. The same example that we have used for the LCM, we will use it for the study period. And you can tell from here how it is easier and how it is shorter in solving using the study period. The study period, usually it is mentioned in the question and is not left for you to select between LCM or study period, okay? So in the question we'll ask you specifically, as it says here, use a study period of 5 to conduct the study, okay? And in conducting this study using the study period for the present worth analysis, the number of years 9 and 6, they will not be considered. Only 5 that will be considered for both alternatives. Okay, what are we going to do for the remaining years? We will stop the cash flow at year 5, and all the values after year 5 will be ignored, and for the salvage value, that will be placed on the last year in the study period. As it was going to be placed on year 6 for alternative A, it is going to be placed on year 5. And for alternative B, as it was the 2000 going to be placed on year 9, it is going to be placed at year 5. And pay attention to an important message. Write it down, take a remark here. Sometimes some questions give you the deposit return or the salvage for the life years, and then give you another row tells you that the salvage for year 5 equal, let's say 500, and the salvage for alternative B for year 5 it is, let's say, 800. So when you do the study period for 5 years, you use that salvage value added in the question as long it is specified for that number of years, and you ignore the other salvage. This is only if you have two salvages and one of them specified for the study period. So you neglect the other and you consider the one that for the specified period. If it was only one salvage or one deposit return given in the question, you take it and use it as is for the specified period. Okay? We will see, I think, in the future an example with that notification. طيب. Now the solving the problem, it is much easier. We don't have periods. We will solve all the values in one step. يعني the minus 15,000, no need to change it. It is already at time 0. And the 3,500 is an annual P given A for 5 years now instead of those 18 that we used to do, plus the 1,000, which is the salvage, P given F 15 for 5 years. Now PA and PB, it was calculated to be found 26,000, 27,000 by minus for A and B, and in this case we will go for location A, even though the LCM was for the B. And here tells you the note, don't expect they have the same result because it's more of small periods, and it is more accurate, the LCM, comparing to the study period. This concept needs from you to, يعني, inshallah, next lecture. I'm not going to cover the capitalized cost today. I think it is already enough portion you have covered for today. Inshallah, we will cover it on the next class or the next video, that the capitalized cost, which considering if the project is forever, is going to be lasting forever, so the number of years is infinity, what we are going to do in that case. So it is important and it's a must question in exams. And also the capitalized cost, the unique thing about it, it is repeated in chapter 6. So understanding this topic in chapter 5, you don't need to revise it again in chapter 6 because it is going to be the same as is exactly. Okay, so we will stop here and I will stop recording and I will take any questions you may have.